I've 33 female, been friends with Charlotte, 33 female, since we were little girls. Despite being close to her and her daughter, kindergarten, I don't really see her wife, Avery, 35, much. She doesn't get along with most of Charlotte's and my friends and is a private person, which is fine. Avery's a cardiologist. My mother-in-law's sister is sick, and I asked Charlotte if she could arrange an appointment for us with her wife. She called and said she had arranged it, so I decided to accompany my mother-in-law and her sister to the office. It all went well, but I noticed Avery didn't have her wedding ring on. During the whole visit, she only mentioned Charlotte once I said something, and everyone addressed her as doctor, while the other times, she insisted on Mrs. It was weird to me because she always wore it when I saw her. Actually, the few times we were out, Avery always wore her ring and acted like it was very important to her. I don't know what was happening, but I thought I should mention this to Charlotte as her good friend. The next time I met up with her, I said I had noticed that Avery wasn't wearing her wedding ring at her office. She laughed and asked me what I was getting at, and I just said I wanted to mention what I had seen, and I didn't mean anything. Charlotte said that Avery is a very by-the-book person and never wears any jewelry in her office or at the hospital. I apologized and only said that I thought it was weird that she didn't wear it and didn't mention anything about her wife, despite knowing who I was. Charlotte told me she had just explained that I needed to let it go. I let it go, but she's still clearly upset. My other friends told me I shouldn't have mentioned it and that I should apologize to Charlotte. I still smell something fishy going on, but I don't know. Am I the idiot for telling my friend her wife's secret? You are the idiot. I don't like Avery, so I'm going to stir up some stuff. Many people in the medical field don't wear their wedding rings to work. And why would she bring up her wife at your mother-in-law's appointment? It's a cardiology appointment, not a social call. None of this is remotely weird, except your behavior in this situation. Agreed. She wasn't even her mother-in-law. It was OP's mother-in-law's sister. Didn't know cardiology turned into a spectator sport. I can't imagine following my husband's mom and sister to a private medical appointment. Now that's fishy. OP's obviously looking for a particular stick to stir up some crap. No wonder Avery doesn't socialize with that group. During this time of respiratory events, RSV and the global issue, not to mention the common cold and flu, can you imagine how many times a day she washes her hands? Can you imagine how many times a day she uses hand sanitizer? Oh, and don't forget latex gloves. Depending on the style of the ring, it's possible it could rip them. That stuff is absolutely horror on jewelry. It's none of your business. Mind your own. I can't believe you double down on your behavior and still think there's something fishy going on. Good grief. Get a grip. You were being a busybody and rightly got called out. She didn't mention her wife during the appointment because she's a professional at work. Similarly, she wasn't wearing her wedding ring because it could interfere with her work. You took that as a sign to insinuate to her wife that she's a cheater. You need to get some of your own business to mind. That fishy smell is your overactive imagination. It's rotting your brain. After trying to have children for years, my sister got pregnant with my niece. When she told us the name, I explained in the best way I could that the name she chose was prevalent for an animal. Even more simplified, normally this is a nickname. An example with an American name, she wanted to call her daughter Bella, just Bella. And in my country, Bella would be an extremely common name for a pet. She said I was anticipating the worst and wouldn't change her mind. I gave up, but she was warned. Recently, my fiancé asked for a dog, so I adopted one. My fiancé's always wanted to have a dog called Bella, a tribute to her childhood dog. I even commented about it being the same name as my niece, Toddler, but she always said she wanted to name one of her pets, even before my sister got pregnant. So, since she owns the dog, I didn't want to contest. We currently don't live together, but we constantly stay at each other's houses, and Bella always accompanies her. This weekend was my son's birthday, and there was a party at the house, so all my siblings, parents, in-laws, and my fiancé came, including Bella, both. No one in my family had met her yet, not even a week after we adopted them, and we introduced her. My sister became quiet, and my brothers made a joke with the same names. The mood softened after a while, but when I was alone with my sister, she started saying that I was petty in choosing the same name as my niece for my dog and causing her unnecessary discomfort since I could choose any other name. I explained by saying it wasn't me who chose it, but my fiancé, and I explained the reason for the name. She even said that we could have chosen another name out of respect for her and my niece. I ran out of patience and ended up saying harshly, she was already yelling at me, and I hate being shouted at, that if she didn't want to go through that kind of discomfort, she shouldn't have chosen one of the most common pet names, and that there's going to be a dog by that name on every corner. She knew it, and she chose it anyway, so she made her bed by naming her daughter that. She left early, and we're not on good terms. My parents are begging us to change the name, but it's not my dog, and my fiancé won't budge, saying that she always said that Bella would be the name of her first pet to everyone. Am I the idiot? Edit. I didn't choose the name. If I had, I wouldn't. I let them both know about the situation. Here's what I said about the name in a conversation with my sister. My fiancé intends to name her pet that. Would you feel comfortable with that, for example? And warned my fiancé about possibly causing a fight. They're adults, capable of making their own decisions, and both knew about the possibility of that. Yes, I regret being harsh, but I was really stressed with her screaming in my ear. It's almost like a combo of everyone's the idiot here and no idiots here, because people name pets human names all the time. Bailey, Henry, Colin, even my dog's name is Olive. So I don't see why this is a big deal for all the parties involved. You and your fiancé did it intentionally, but your sister shouldn't care so much. That doesn't make OP an idiot, because he has zero power to control what his fiancé names her dog. So it'd be a toss-up between no idiots here and not the idiot. For the record, I vote not the idiot, because when someone chooses an extremely common name for a pet, that's simply not admissible as evidence of maliciously using the name to spite someone. Not the idiot, but I would think very hard about the woman you're about to marry. You told her the name she was about to pick for her dog was the name of your actual niece, and she checks notes, goes with it anyway, thus guaranteeing at least 10 years of crappy family get-togethers and a ruined chance of having a close relationship with your niece. Fiancé's using a pet name for a pet. The sister's using a pet name for a child. Eventually, someone else would name their pet the same somewhere in their vicinity. Are they also going to be blacklisted? Nothing needs to be ruined, but the sister needs to get over it. If she doesn't, she'll ruin her daughter's relationships over her pettiness. My female 26, sister 29, has a preteen son, Eric. I don't visit often, we live away, but I see them and most of my family at birthdays and holidays. When I visit, I usually buy Eric a toy or some candy, as he's my only nephew. To be honest, I like to spoil him, and maybe I am a little bit to blame for what happened too. It was Eric's birthday this week. I visited them, and I bought him a nice toy car. The car was quite big and had lights and stuff. When I got to the party, I wished him a happy birthday and handed him the gift. He opened it and he loved it. He said, "So far, this is the best one." At the time, I thought he was just excited, but with what happened later, I kind of get the idea it was more maliciously intended. An hour or so after the party started, when everyone had already arrived, Eric made an announcement to the table at which the adults were sitting. He said that I had won, and that I was now the person he loved the most, because my gift was the one he liked the most. I thought it was sweet that he liked it. Then he told my mom that her gift sucked. She bought him a board game, so he didn't love her anymore. He also told one of his friends that next year he won't be invited because his gift was poor. He gifted him a set of dinosaur figures. I think this whole thing of ranking the gifts people gave was crappy. I expected my sister or her husband to say something, but they didn't. They just laughed. So I told Eric that he's not supposed to say that about his gifts. People get him what they can, and he should be grateful. He said that he doesn't understand why he must love people who don't buy him nice gifts. I genuinely can't believe my sister's teaching this BS to her son. His dad told him, yeah, they should all give you the best. So I then again told him that a person's worth is not about how expensive or big the gift they got him was, and that if he thought that way, then I wouldn't continue buying him gifts. Eric started to cry, and my sister told me off because I made him cry, but most of the family and some of her in-laws were on my side and told them that it was bad to teach their kids such a thing. Our mom was quite affected, and I wanted to leave too, so we left after that. My sister texted me later to call me an idiot for leaving before the candles were blown out and for telling her child he won't get any more gifts from me. She said I shouldn't make empty threats to a child. I said that it wasn't empty, and it wasn't a threat. It's a promise until they teach their kids some manners. Am I wrong for discussing this when my nephew was present? Am I being unreasonable to him since he's so young? And would I be wrong in the future if I keep my promise and do not buy him a gift the next time we see each other? Not the idiot. What he did was incredibly rude and hurtful, especially when he said one of his friends wouldn't be invited again. I don't care if he's 8. The other kid was probably around the same age. I'm glad you're not enabling him. Please buy people gifts. I'm a gift giver, but it's one way of showing love, and it's not a reason to be rude if the giver puts effort into it. I can't imagine parents not being terribly embarrassed their kids said something like that, let alone agree and then double down. In this case, you didn't overstep. His parents clearly aren't teaching him any morals or manners. In fact, quite the opposite. They're raising him to be a monster. Keep your promise. If your nephew approaches you about it, talk with him calmly and explain why. It is possible you can be an influence for good in his life. If he changes his attitude, then resume buying him gifts. Everyone's the idiot here. Shaming a preteen in public? Not good. His brain isn't developed. He's young and naturally more selfish and clueless. His parents suck, however, but you're not the parent. You probably shouldn't have used that moment in front of everyone to tell a child you wouldn't buy him any more gifts. I would reconsider buying him gifts from now on too, but I wouldn't have announced it in that setting, but more privately. My 25 female, dad 47, is getting married to his fiancée, Erin, 33 female. Erin invited me, her maid of honor, and her 2 daughters, young grammar school age, for wedding dress shopping. I agreed as I thought it would be a nice bonding experience with Erin. I don't know Erin well. My dad and I were estranged for years. I'm not in the wedding party, which I'm okay with. When I turned up at the wedding dress shop, Erin was wearing a knee-length, sleeveless summer dress. This is important. The assistant had already pulled some dresses for Erin, based on what she said she was looking for. These were kept in the changing room, so I didn't see them before she came out in the first one. I had no idea what she was looking for, other than she wanted something that would go with the shawl she had from her mom. Erin's mom passed away a few years ago, so this was her something old. When Erin came out in her first dress, it wasn't what I was expecting. It was full length with sleeves and covered her all the way up to her collarbones. The shawl was used as a head covering. This surprised me, as she doesn't dress modestly in her daily life, like the dress that she turned up in. She looked like one of those dolls that people used to cover the toilet rolls. All the dresses were the same. She was covered up in every single one of them. I asked Erin why she had chosen these ridiculous dresses and offered to pick out a dress so she wasn't so covered up. Erin replied that it was important for her to be covered during her wedding. She explained that she was raised in a mixed-race household. Her mom was Muslim. When her mom married, she couldn't wear a modest dress, as she was forced to conform to a traditional Christian wedding, and it was one of her biggest regrets. Her mom had hoped Erin would wear a modest dress when she married, but Erin had chosen not to, as she wasn't religious at the time. After her mom died, she became more religious, but didn't wear a head covering or dress modestly in her daily life. When Erin and my dad got engaged, she decided to fulfill her mom's wish. Erin didn't say anything else to me about the dresses during the appointment. That evening, I got a text from my dad stating that he was disappointed that I had called Erin's modest dress wearing ridiculous. He said that Erin's religious beliefs weren't up for discussion or ridicule, and that she was disappointed in me. He wanted me to apologize to her. Am I the idiot for calling the modest dress ridiculous? Obviously, you are the idiot. Just because something isn't to your taste doesn't mean it's ridiculous. And you're definitely not justified in abjectly insulting someone's choices. Dress shopping for an event isn't about your actual opinion, but for support in making a choice that feels good and suits the person's personality. You don't know Erin well. Not your place to have a strong opinion, especially after not asking Erin what she was looking for. You should apologize. I said, "Oh my," out loud when OP said she offered to pick out the bride's dress. How OP can't see how much of an idiot she is beyond me. And she literally said, "Ridiculous." I can't even. Great job making a person feel like crap for no reason. But I wonder if the ages are relevant. Erin and OP are closer in age than one usually expects from step-parent/children. So maybe there's something happening below the surface for OP, causing her to act out. I, 23 female, came from a family of 3 kids, 30 male, 20 female. Despite being in the same city, I rarely see my siblings or parents because they've always ignored my existence during everything. I've been self-sufficient and academically successful, so they justify they have nothing to worry about when it comes to me. My younger sister Mary had twins a few months ago. Her boyfriend didn't want to be involved in the whole process, so it's safe to say she's a single mom. My parents have been helping her raise her kids, as they always have. They always supported every decision she made, including not going to college, dating whoever she wanted, and having kids. I'm quite busy with work, school, and everything that comes with it. My mother called and asked me if I could watch the kids for a few hours on the weekend so they could take a breath. I said no because I was busy. I had a date planned. I've been dating my girlfriend, 29, for a few months, but no one in the family knows or cares that I'm dating or that I'm into women. My brother has work and his own family with 3 kids, so he's busy, as my mom said. I said I was sorry and I couldn't help out. My mother told me I was incredibly selfish to not care at all about my niece and nephew, only care about myself, and ignore my family. I simply said it was ironic, given that I was constantly ignored in this family, and I hung up the phone and didn't pick it up afterward. Should I have helped her out? Not the idiot. That was pure manipulation. Your sister being a single mother is difficult, but this wasn't your decision. Not your monkeys, not your circus. They are not your children, so they're not your responsibility. You don't need to rearrange your life because she wants to have a child. Oh, the tangled webs family weave. You, my friend, are not the idiot in this situation. Your family seems to have a history of neglecting your needs and emotions. Now they expect you to drop everything for them. No way. It's essential to prioritize your life, especially when you have work, school, and a blossoming relationship. It's not your responsibility to fill in the gaps for your family when they have yet to bother to do the same for you. Your mom calling you selfish is a bit of a pot meat kettle situation, considering their history of ignoring you. So keep living your life, enjoy that date, and don't feel guilty about setting boundaries with your family. You deserve to be happy too. Yeah, the people who have kids trying to shame people who don't into helping care for the kids they chose to have are simply the worst. Considering you're being ignored, they have no clue what's going on in your life. And when they do acknowledge you, it's for you to do something for them. You don't owe them anything. If you had done this for them and later needed a similar favor, I have a feeling they would not be the ones to help you. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. You're not selfish for saying no. My husband, 30, and I, 30 female, met in community college and married 6 years ago. He works with AI, and I work as a part-time nurse. Obviously, he makes significantly more money than me. Still, we've thus far lived well below our means, to the extent that my salary alone can support our current lifestyle. We live in a 2-bedroom house, which was given to me by my uncle as a graduation present. And while comfortable, our daughter, toddler, is getting to the age where she needs a bigger house and a yard to play in. I've been asking my husband to look into bigger homes in better neighborhoods for the past 6 months, and each time he tells me he'll look into it, and he'll sit with me looking at homes that fit what we're looking for, only to back out of it before we take the next step. Then last week, I heard him on the phone with his mom, 63, asking if she needed more money and if she wanted more consistently than last month. His mother moved to London to live with her brothers and sisters after her husband, my husband's father, died 7 years ago. He left my mother-in-law a large sum of cash, which she spent instantly to buy a large house in London and to move all her brothers and sisters from Iran to the United Kingdom, where they lived together in a 5-bedroom home. I used to think they were each working or had some leftover cash from buying the home, but after I overheard them on the phone, I asked my husband how much his family needed and if they were struggling to make ends meet. To his credit, he was very straightforward with me and explained the whole scenario, detailing how they have no cash of their own and how none of them hold a job, and he's been giving them between $5 and $10K a month for the past 4 years. It turns out that when they had all originally moved to London, my husband's 3 uncles, between the ages of 40 to 50, had held jobs as delivery drivers or whatnot, while his mother and aunt, 50-ish, stayed home. Then when my husband got his new job 4 years ago, which I've now found out pays significantly more than I thought, and he started giving them money, his uncles quit their jobs, and he alone funded them. He's given them nearly $350K in the past 4 years, which is already a lot, but for a group of 5 able-bodied adults with a paid-off home and taking full advantage of all the publicly funded benefits of the UK system, it becomes far too much in my eyes. I started telling him how his main responsibility is to his family here and how his daughter's well-being and comfort should be his priority. He said it is a priority, how he's still saving up a lot of money for our eventual move, and that he's saved up more than he's given. He said it's just delayed by a year or two, and that we had to wait for the housing bubble to pop anyway before buying an expensive house. We argued for a bit before he called me unreasonable and cold. I'm now wondering, am I in the wrong here? Not the idiot. He lied to you. It's a lie of omission, but he still purposefully hid his true income from you and never mentioned supporting his mother and her relatives. This is borderline divorce territory. You're supposed to be a team. $350K is a huge amount of money. What the heck? That $350K should have gone into 1, your daughter's college fund, and 2, your joint retirement funds. Has he looked at college cost? What if your daughter wants to go to law school or med school? OMG, OP doesn't know her husband's finances at all, including his salary, or has seen any bank statements, which is a massive red flag. He's been leeching off of her free housing and salary while funneling his money to his family for years. It sounds like she has no verification of what he's telling her. How could you be comfortable not having complete transparency in a marriage? And don't forget that the husband's family are all committing benefit fraud by accepting money from him and not declaring it to the benefits office. They'd be entitled to 0 money from the government if they knew your husband was sending this money, and face possible jail time. The family's using your husband's kindness. Is he really going to fund them for the next 40 years? For funsies, I would visit a divorce attorney and find out how much alimony and child support he'd be on the hook for after a split. Considering his high income and the fact you've been married since he started working, I guess quite a lot. And since your uncle gave you the house, he would also have to factor in new lodgings for himself. See how much he can afford to give mommy after all of that. I, female 28, have a great relationship with my niece, Ava, tween. She loves me, and I love her. She has no issue staying with me for days on end. So I asked my brother if I could take her on a trip with me to Disney for a week. I knew she would love it, since we always watch Disney movies together. He wanted me to ask sister-in-law. Definitely, she said, they'll let Ava go if sister-in-law can come along with her. I asked her if it was because she didn't trust me. Sister-in-law said no, she just wanted to come with. I told sister-in-law she could accompany me as long as she paid her way. We can all share the room, but she must get tickets, airplane, and her own ticket. She said she didn't have the money for it, and since I don't have kids or family and have enough income, I should pay for her to come too. I didn't like it. Technically, I have the money, but I don't like the way she said it, and I have my own financial plans. I told her I won't pay for her. She said she won't let Ava go. Though disappointed, I canceled the idea. My brother called me the next day, asking why I canceled the trip, and Ava was looking forward to it. I didn't tell her about the trip. I told him about my conversation with sister-in-law. He was upset with sister-in-law, but didn't have enough money to pay for her. He asked if I would cover. I said no, just on the principle. I felt like sister-in-law was forcing my hand, and I didn't like it. Now my brother's calling me an idiot for refusing to cover my sister-in-law and canceling a vacation I promised Ava. I didn't promise Ava. Sister-in-law did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I totally understand a parent wanting to accompany their tween on a trip. But if your brother wants you to include sister-in-law on a trip that she wasn't invited on, then they can foot the bill. Me thinks sister-in-law's vested interest in going on the trip had to do more with getting a freebie vacay rather than accompanying her daughter. Yep, now brother and sister-in-law are upset that OP has a spine and refuses to be walked all over. At least they know they can't manipulate her in the future. The sheer audacity to demand her trip to be paid. She saw an opportunity for a free ride. So entitled. It's too bad you couldn't get a trip with Ava this time, but I hope you can spend more time with her in the future without sister-in-law imposing and mooching. Holding your own kid hostage for a free vacation is a new kind of low, and your brother doubling down on that is doubly despicable. I'd probably talk to Ava to see if she knew. It's possible she doesn't, and they're again trying to manipulate you. If she does know, maybe say something like, I would love to take you, but your mommy said she had to save up some money before she could afford it first. My sister has never been a prized parent. She married rich and had a baby because she was supposed to do that. Truthfully, she never looked after her own daughter for a single day. Even on Christmas, she'd go to parties, and her daughter would celebrate with us. Nannies don't work on Christmas. We all knew her daughter wouldn't have any semblance of a relationship with her. My sister would talk to her as she got older, but it was never about things she liked. It was always things like she'd book a trip to Disney for her birthday. My niece has been terrified of theme parks since she was small. My niece has just turned 18. She got her inheritance money from her grandpa and is set to start college this year. My dad drove her to her college dorm a couple of days ago. She's doing well. As soon as she arrived, she sent her parents a text informing them that she was cutting them off and to no longer contact them. No one is surprised, not even her dad. No one besides my sister, apparently. She's been complaining since it happened. She was incredibly upset, but we tried to warn her. If you don't start bonding with her, she won't care for you and all that. When she finally approached me and explained her feelings and how she just didn't understand, I laughed at her. I told her that we'd all warned her and that I was incredibly happy for my niece. She went and complained to our mom, who's potentially the only one on her side. She called me immature and said it was the wrong thing to do. I needed to apologize, all that. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but I'm curious what this apology would sound like. I'm sorry for not validating your feelings of abandonment from the child you abandoned. She treated her kid like a puppy and is now upset that her daughter's not a stupid puppy who loves her no matter what. Your sister brought it on herself. I hope the memories of those parties keep her company in her old age, because the daughter she neglected is free now and isn't obligated to do crap for her, and likely won't. Treating her daughter like a puppy would imply she at least raised her daughter. She really treated her like a time-lock safe, do nothing for years, then open up and grab all the emotional attachment just waiting there for you. Sometimes when someone makes terrible decisions like her, such as being a crappy parent, it's appropriate to laugh at their idiotic mistakes backfiring on them. I 100% agree. I'll never understand the parents who think, yuck, I can't stand kids. I'll wait until they're an adult, and then they'll magically transform into my sister/best friend/clone, and we can go shopping and watch baseball or party together. It's going to be a blast. And then this predictable outcome happens, and it's surprised Pikachu face. My teen female parents have always been close to another couple, Kolya and Vika. When Kolya and my father were doing their mandatory military service, my mother and I moved in with Vika. We still live very close to them and see them almost daily. On Saturday, I was at a friend's birthday. He lives close to Vika and Kolya's flat, and I usually just sleep there instead of walking all the way home. It's also safer because our neighborhood can be a bit dangerous at night, especially if you're drunk and tired. I had asked Vika if I could sleep there again, and she said she wouldn't be there, but it would be no problem. Their guest room is located behind their room, so I had to go through the bedroom to get there. When I went by the bed, I saw two people sleeping in there. One was Kolya, and the other was my father. They weren't wearing a shirt. I didn't think right then and just went to the guest room. The next day, they were both in the kitchen and eating breakfast. I asked why my father was there. He said he'd explain when we went home. It was an uncomfortable atmosphere. At home, my mother apologized because I wasn't meant to find out that way, but they both forgot that I was sleeping there. She explained that they were in an intimate relationship with Vika and Kolya. It was a shock to hear because I always saw them as my aunt and uncle. I told them that I needed time to get my mind around it. That was 3 days ago, and the longer I'm thinking about it, the more it makes me uncomfortable. When I think about interacting with them, it makes me uncomfortable. I asked my aunt and uncle if I could move in with them for some time. They said it would be fine, and I could move in with them this weekend. My cousin, who's very westernized, asked me why I wanted to move in with them, and I told her what happened. She said I shouldn't be so prejudiced and that it was none of my business what they were doing in the bedroom. But I disagree because this affects me and makes me uncomfortable, so I don't want to stay with them now. What they're doing is betraying their marriage vows by sleeping with other people, and it's unnatural, and I don't want to be near that. I don't care if it's with men or women. They're betraying their marriage vows. Am I the idiot for wanting to move in with my aunt and uncle? I hate to be the one to break this to you, but marriage vows are not natural. They're a human social construct. Sorry, you are the idiot. Your cousin is right. Your prejudice is showing big time here. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. OP, who are you to say what's natural or unnatural? You say you aren't judging, but process to judge away. It's not betraying their marriage if they're both consenting adults and the other adults are also consenting, which it seems like it is. They may be your parents, but they're also their own people with their own lives who you also cannot judge. None of this actually affects you. You're making it affect you. I'm pretty sure OP meant swinging is uncommon, not unnatural. I cannot believe the amount of you lecturing a teen for being uncomfortable when they caught their parents swinging. Being uncomfortable with your parents' intimate life in general is normal, let alone trying to wrap your mind around swinging. To you, you view it as cheating. That's your personal belief. And considering this is your parents, I find it totally normal that this would upset you. Not the idiot. Finding out that your parents are in an open relationship with another couple is a bit shocking, especially since you've known and loved the other couple your whole life. This lifestyle is not for everyone, and not everyone has to agree with it or feel comfortable with it. I don't think wanting to take a step back from them for a little while is a bad thing, but don't completely shut them out because they are your family and they love you. You have to do what's best for your mental health, and sometimes we just have to love people from a distance. One of my 28 male friends, 28 male, is single and has told me he has a crush on one of my sisters. That sister, 29, is also single. She and my friend have similar educations. She's a dentist and he's a chemical engineer, and political views. I know they both campaigned for the same candidate in the last provincial election. They both frequent the gym as well. I know my sister's looking to date, so I told her my friend was interested. My sister told me she would never date a man like him. Those were her exact words. At first I thought she meant he was a creep or he harassed women or something. I was confused because my friend doesn't like that, and I wondered if she knew something I didn't. But it wasn't about that. I asked her about it, and she said she doesn't date men who use weaponized incompetence. She told me she knows my friend doesn't know how to do his own laundry, and he's content to let everyone else clean up after him. My sister went on this tirade about not dating men who don't do 50% of the chores and pull their own weight. She said she isn't sure if she wants to get married or have kids, but if she does, she'll be picky about what man she ends up with because she doesn't want to get saddled with someone who leaves her with all the work. She said she knew my friend was a slob whose ex-girlfriend did all the chores and housework. I was shocked, honestly. My friend is a good guy, and I've never noticed any of the things she said. I told her this, and my sister said I was the same as him. So of course, I wouldn't notice. I'm definitely laid back and not a neat freak, but I don't know what she's saying about incompetence or men like my friend don't do their fair share. I told my friend, my sister's slowly getting back into the dating game, but not looking for anything serious to spare him. He's looking elsewhere and no longer has her as an option. But I'm mad at her for not giving my friend a chance and making all these claims about how he would be in a relationship. She says I'm the idiot for not realizing that I don't pull my weight, and neither does my friend. I think she's an idiot for not giving him a chance. You are the idiot. Your sister doesn't have to give your friend a chance just because you think it could be a good match. She has expressed some obvious misgivings about him. You have absolutely no authority to override her preferences and insist that she give someone with characteristics she's already expressed as undesirable a chance. Bro, is this the 1800s? Get out of your sister's dating life. Women don't want to be set up, much less be asked to compromise unimportant things just because some guy has a crush. The compatibilities you listed are beyond generic. What do engineering and dentistry have in common? Chemistry is about more than sharing vague political views and going to the gym. What the heck? You're not your sister's matchmaker. Stop encouraging her to settle. She could have given no reason at all, which still should have ended the conversation. Other fish in the sea, my guy. I think this rocked OP to the core because he probably views his friend as a high-valued man, or whatever tatter-tots call themselves, and for his friend to be denied struck him, since he assumed just by his friend's job title and going to the gym that any woman would be falling over that dude. His sister broke that dream. Then to add insult to injury for OP, he also has the same qualities that got his friend rejected. OP is reeling from having his sister bring down the hammer on him. Yes, seriously. It's not enough to just have a good job anymore. You have to be a good partner, parent, and housemate. Shocker. At almost 30 years old, a person can do laundry and clean up after themselves. You want a mommy to clean up after you and your friend, not a girlfriend. You are the idiot. Now go clean your room.